There are anime shows that surprisingly never got popular in the US, but extremely popular in every other region. The last time we took a look at the Street Fighter 2 Victory anime. For this video, I want to concentrate on another of my all-time favorites, Ranma y Medio, or Ranma Half, or One Half. I'm not 100% sure which is it in English. And you wanna know why? Because no one talks about Ranma in the US. This is a show about characters who display incredible styles of martial arts with the most random things you could find in Asian culture. Oh, and there's a place called Yusenkyo where certain people and animals have drowned in various pools. And if you happen to fall into one of these pools, from that moment on, whenever cold water hits you, you'll transform into the person or animal that drowned in that particular pool. But if you're hit with warm water or hot water, then you'll revert back to normal. Jusenkyo is a legendary training ground where those wanting to become masters of their martial arts go to, and that included Ranma and a bunch of other characters that become regulars throughout the series. If there are any Ranma fans out here, I wouldn't know because I can't find any videos or channels dedicated to sharing their love for the series. But let me explain why this is a major surprise to me, especially now that it's been over 20 years since the show aired and it's still not big enough in popularity over here in the West. By the way, I'm about to branch out like a plague, so bear with me on this long ride.
Por favor, cuerpo, resiste el poder del triple Kaioken!
Nunca me imaginé que tuviera tanto poder.
When I was 6 years old, yeah, that's how far I got. That being 1996, I watched my favorite television broadcast called Canal 5 by Televisa, which translates to Channel 5. They would air nothing but the greatest cartoons, movies, shows, and anime with minimal censorship. And when Canal 5 aired shows like Dragon Ball Z, they showed blood, gore, headless Goldo, asses, you name it. And when they aired movies, not only would they not censor the mature content, but if a movie had sequels, they would play them all in a row.
Pero no olvidamos a la vecina chismosa. Chucky 2, tercera función. Y para el amigo sonsacador, Chucky 3 en la cuarta función.
Muy bien.
They aired Chucky back when it was a trilogy, but they always chose to air it during Christmas of all times. I don't know why. What made me love this channel even more was that they were always ballsy. They had these promos or bumps with the edgiest humor, anything that would result in 5, like showing 6 light bulbs and then one suddenly pops, resulting in 5. You know, as in Canal 5, Channel 5. You guys want to see a couple jokes that people would lose their shit over nowadays? In this one, they had a wide shot of 4 fat guys. Then, a pig walks in a frame. Not bad, right? It's still funny. Alright, let's poke the bear with this one. Now, obviously, I don't have to explain these. I hope everyone understands that a joke is a joke. Plus, those were the days.
You sound like you yearn for those days.
No, just saying those were the days.
Now, on this channel, they would air Ranma first, and then Dragon Ball Z. But hilariously, every time an episode of Dragon Ball Z ended, this short animated clip would play, which informs kids that it's time to go to bed.
Ya va siendo hora de que los peques nos vayamos a la cama. Ale. Vamos a la cama, ya esperamos.
So they knew that kids would appreciate a show like Ranma and Dragon Ball Z, so this little clip would basically give a nudge to the parents, be like, hey, it's cool, man. Let them watch. They'll get it. And when DBZ is over, now they can go to bed. But anyways, they aired Dragon Ball in 1996. The show was great as you know it. Luckily, the voice acting in Spanish was incredible. I love how they even dubbed the theme songs with translated lyrics, which is just taking their love for the craft even further. Dragon Ball Z would air a year later, so I was watching DBZ in 1997, and as you know, the show was brilliant. It was a brilliant continuation of the series.
Y hoy averigua quién ganará, Goku o Pai Kuhan, en Dragon Ball Z a las 8:30 de la noche.
Ranma y Medio. Dude, this show is just too good, and I grew to love it more than this show I was initially there for. So Dragon Ball Z and Ranma were both insanely popular with Hispanics and Latinos, but I think Dragon Ball was slightly more popular because I can't think of any other anime that had my parents hooked into watching it, including my cousin's parents. Mexican grandparents would have like 10 kids back then, which means I have tons of aunts and uncles, which that means I have so many cousins. So we would all be able to watch this show and their parents would watch it as well. But my point is that Dragon Ball Z had all of my aunts and uncles watching the show, and that's pretty damn incredible when you think about it. And in Mexico, they embraced the hell out of Dragon Ball Z. They sold tons of merch, toys, posters, clothes, DVDs, all of the bootleg variety, because, you know, it's Mexico.
Oh, man. Hey.
But the merch was there. Same goes for Ranma. There was a lot of love for that show in Mexico. So much that at one point, for a limited time only, the potato chip company Sabritas created what they called Yokos and had them based on Dragon Ball Z.
Mira, cada quien arma su cubo de yokos y pone 2 o más yokos para construir una estructura. El que empieza lanza su cubo y gana los yokos que logró separar. ¿Ya sabes jugar?
No.
Bueno, busca en las bolsas de Sabritas con tira los 50 yokos de Dragon Ball Z. Construye, destruye y gana.
These were fun to collect, and at one point I actually had the entire collection, but that's thanks to one of my cousins in Mexico. The dude was nice enough to send the entire collection. He must have had a blast buying all those potato chip bags for sure. I remember the Yokos were very polished and the colors were vibrant. They didn't look or feel like cheap material. And they did have a different image in the front and back, and on one side it would be used to create an even bigger image. These things were great, and when Ranma half caught the attention of the Sabritas, they too ended up getting their own Yokos based on the series. This time they added triangular pieces.
¡Me falta un yoko para terminar mi rompecabezas!
No, te faltan 2 y yo los tengo. Con los nuevos yokos cuadrados y triangulares de Sabritas, arma los 4 rompecabezas de Ranma. Búscalos en las bolsas de Sabritas con tira.
¡Dame los yokos, dame los yokos!
Arma, gira y gana.
So Canal 5 had me hooked. They would air the Saiyan Saga, the Namek Saga, the Cell Saga, but by the time they reached the Buu Saga, Canal 5 would no longer be broadcasting on the US. This was the mother of all cliffhangers. Every episode would always end in a cliffhanger, but a cliffhanger that has me waiting for the next day or the next, for the weekend to end, because the show would only air on weekdays around the evening. But this time, that particular channel would now be a part of a new network. It was called Sky, similar to Dish Network or DirecTV, but for Mexico. And if you're wondering, well, you didn't have to watch it in Spanish. It's Dragon Ball Z. If it was airing in Spanish, then it was airing in English, right? Well, yeah, but I couldn't find it anywhere else at the time. Some people would tell me that they saw an episode airing in English in a particular channel, but I never did witness any sort of evidence to their claims. It was up until I saw YouTube videos showing commercials of it that it aired back in '98 where I was like, oh, okay, so it did air then. But also, mostly everyone at school didn't even know what Dragon Ball was, so that led me to believe that it didn't air in English the whole time. Well, you know, apparently it did though on Toonami around '98, back when Moltar was the original host. But they only aired the Saiyan Saga, and it took them till the year 2000 to deliver with the Namek Saga. Thanks to some family members living in Mexico, they recorded parts of the Buu Saga on VHS, and they sent those tapes over so my family and I could watch how the series ended. But that was in 1999. So I had just finished watching the entire series of Dragon Ball Z in '99, but everyone else in the US was still stuck in the Saiyan Saga. It took them another year for the Namek Saga to kick in, and I was like, damn, Toonami, catch up already! To make matters worse for the Toonami viewers, Toonami censored the hell out of Dragon Ball. They censored dialogue, blood, punches, names. You couldn't even see an ass crack. I don't know how the series still managed to get fans after butchering over 50% of what Dragon Ball Z was all about. But it did. Around the year 2000, people were finally talking about DBZ. Took even longer to start receiving DBZ games in the US as well. We didn't have emulators or access to Japan-only games, so we literally had to wait till like the PS2 and GameCube was out, because that's when the Budokai series released. I know we also had like a few PS1 games, but only one of those was worth playing for a bit since you could complete it within an hour. So DBZ games were coming out like crazy in the mid-2000s, and that's when the franchise was finally now like fully being embraced around the world. And the reason why I mention all of this, because I got to witness Dragon Ball's popularity go from Mexico years before it got popular in the US. Then I got to see the same thing happen for the Dragon Ball franchise in the US. And since Ranma was just as popular as Dragon Ball in Mexico, then I thought it was only a matter of time till Ranma 2 ended up making it big in the US. And it wasn't like they didn't have enough content to rerun. Ranma had over 160 episodes with multiple movies released, just like Dragon Ball Z. But till today, I cannot believe that Ranma never got popular enough to even be mentioned in crossover anime games in the US. The creator went on to make Inuyasha, which actually did end up being pretty damn big. It's baffling because I've seen Inuyasha. It is a great show, but in my opinion, it just doesn't compare to Ranma. But that's another thing. Since Inuyasha was popular in the US, I thought that this was the perfect time to introduce Ranma to Inuyasha viewers. Just promote the hell out of it with the slogan, "From the creator of Inuyasha," and that's it. So why didn't Ranma 1/2 become popular in the US? Honestly, I think the one thing that killed its chances of popularity in the US would be the English dub voice actors. Because they did a massive shit job, and I'm talking our main characters, their voice acting is just horrendous.
How I've waited for this day. And soon, very soon, Ranma will be here. Listen up, Kasumi, Nabiki, Akane.
Hoy llega mi futuro hijo. Estoy tan emocionado. Hace tanto tiempo que había esperado este momento. ¡Escuchen! ¡Hijas! ¡Kasumi! ¡Nabiki!
Legendary ground of accursed springs. Its true horror has been shrouded in mystery until now.
What do you mean, true horror? This is all your fault, old man. What's the idea of dragging me to a place like that anyway, huh?
Ranma, you sound like a girl! Were you not prepared to lay down your life for the sake of the art?
My life, yes! My manhood is another story!
Es un sitio terrible ese de Yusenkyo. Se sabe de historias terribles que han sucedido ahí.
Y todo por tu culpa, papá. ¿Cómo pudiste? ¿Por qué tenías que llevarme a un sitio que de antemano sabías que estaba maldito?
Ranma, ya no me estés culpando.
¿Ah?
¿No dijiste que estabas dispuesto a todo lo necesario para superarte?
Como entrenamiento. Pero jamás me dijiste que podría pasarme esto.
And if the voice acting is terrible, then you're not gonna feel invested if the voice actors can't even invest themselves in doing a great job. You can always go with English subtitles with the original Japanese dub, but I know not everyone wants to stare at the bottom screen of every episode just to understand what they're saying. Or you like to draw or simply multitask while watching a show. But if you speak and understand Spanish, I highly, and I mean I highly recommend the Spanish dub of Ranma. Because one thing you will never hear are complaints about the Spanish dubs in anime. The voice actors take pride in their job. They perform like they were born to play those roles. The English dub in Ranma did not help its chances of getting popular in the US. It was so bad that even I couldn't get my wife invested in the show. It's not just one character, but all of them. And Ranma? I know that a version of himself is a chick, but there's no way I can believe that he still sounds like a chick when he's a dude. Ranma transforms into a chick, so you'd expect to hear two different voice actors for him. But it ain't uncommon to hear female voice actors voice male characters if they can pull it off. But for Ranma, I don't think this works well because he's the most masculine dude in the show. The dude takes pride in being a man. I like that. So it's ironic as hell that he happens to turn into a female when he touches cold water. It's a lot worse for other characters like Ryoga, who turns into a teacup pig. And that brings me to the voice acting being a huge part of what made me love the series in the first place. Not only was the show funny, entertaining, and filled with some of the best hand-drawn animation, which included captivating fight scenes since every new fighter had their own unique martial arts mastery, but it did what many shows wish they could do: compete and be on Dragon Ball's level of popularity. So this show went on to have up to 160 episodes, and almost every single one of them is worth making a vid alone on. Literally. Yeah, this is one of those huge shows with over 100 episodes made, and yet it never got popular in the US? I don't know who wrote this in the Ranma wiki, but I don't know anyone that doesn't speak Spanish and knows about Ranma one half. But you know what? There is a Ranma community out there. I don't know where it is, but it's out there. And I feel like I had to say this, because this isn't the only great anime show that felt ghosted in the US. Street Fighter 2 Victory is an anime show that never gained a big enough community in the US, but after making a video about it, I got to see how many fans it secretly had all along. Luckily, the voice actors for the English dub of that anime did a great job, so no complaints there. And it's another fantastic show to watch, but it only has 26 episodes, so I thought maybe that's why it was forgotten by those who knew about it. So till today, I don't understand how Street Fighter 2 Victory did not become popular enough or get an anniversary release. And for Ranma in the West, I think those voice actors really screwed the pooch on this one. Just redub it and try again, right? Call it Ranma 3/4, Ranma half the new dub edition, Ranma half Kai. I don't know, I think dub edition would do the deed. That would at least alert everyone saying, oh, new actors? Okay, let's take a look at that. That's it for the video. Join the Patreon or channel membership to help support the channel. There's also plenty of merch if you'd like to show your support another way. Besides that, thank you all for taking the time to watch this video, and if you truly enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content from this jabroni. I cover lore videos, facts, movies, and game reviews, all based on my favorite franchises such as Resident Evil, The King of Fighters, Mortal Kombat, Celebrity Deathmatch, The Mask, Dragon Ball, The Terminator, TMNT, and more. I'd like to give a very special thanks to all my Patreon supporters. This video is for you, and I hope you like seeing your name at the end credits of this video. And if you too would like to see your name at the end of a new vid, be sure to join my Patreon, where you also get to receive exclusive videos and updates such as new art panels for my Resident Evil Outbreak comic that I'm working on. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.